Yeah.
He's sleeping in Thurles, like. Yeah. Yeah.
Sleeping in Thurles?
Yeah.
That's a mad way to ask.
Yeah.
He's sleeping in Thurles.
Factory houses I'm living in.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What, sugar factory houses?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Right.
They're all built under the
Mine Road.
sugar factory housing schemes.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're having a personal conversation
Yeah.
now, though, so we don't enter.
They were sugar factory houses.
Yeah. Right, well,
They were sugar factory houses.
We're going to start with John's personal conversation.
They were the first factory houses were out of the crusher.
All right, okay.
That's important.
I had some kind of cousins living up there, actually. So I must figure out who they... Yeah.
I'm stiff as a stone.
That's it now. We go.
Yeah.
We're already going. It's too
Yes.
late.
Yes, we shall.
Welcome to Culture Night in the Source Arts Centre. This is our first live podcast. Are you nervous? So you're a professional musician, so...
Yeah, the nerves are...
I feel like now I'm not allowed to be nervous.
Yeah.
It's like I was about to say, I am nervous. Then you're like, no, you can't be.
Yeah. But we're joined by Eddie Kenehan, who we had on the podcast before, but we have Eddie on again because this event is around culture and it's around the sugar factory that used to be in Thurles, and Eddie knows a lot about that. But there's actually something going on the inside as well. An art installation, an interactive show by Teample, and it's really cool. And the voice in there is done by Eddie, is that correct?
Well, some of the voices are by me. I done the interviews.
Yeah.
And what we did was...
You hold the mic up just. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Very good. I done the interviews.
Yeah.
And I done a master's in... I'm going to say it in short. It's called space, but it wasn't actually in space where I done it. What it means is social practice and the creative environment. And the whole idea of this master's is to get people involved in an art project that have artistic abilities or no artistic abilities, so that everyone can have a part in an art project if they don't even, anyone that doesn't have an artistic ability can take part in the art project. And I'd done as part of my master's, and I was thinking of a few things to do. So the tutor said to me one day, he says, Eddie, do something personal, something that means something to you. And I was trying to think of everything, what will I do? And I was going to college one morning, I was just walking out my front door. I looked up the street, and I said to myself, hang on a second. I'm living in a factory house, and all the houses that are built up where I am, they're all factory houses built on the factory housing scheme. So I went into college that morning, I says, I'm going to do it on the sugar factory, I says, and see what it was like, I says, because there's loads of information to be got on it. And so I done a mind map, and the mind map was everywhere.
Yeah.
From politics, I was trying to stay away from the politics side of it, and it went on to local farmers, small farmers that had small holdings that worked in the sugar factory, housing schemes that they gave money to the workers so that they could build homes for themselves and everything like that. What it meant to the community, how it helped people during the Christmas times when the campaign was going. So anyway, I eventually decided I would do it on the sugar factory. And of course the sugar factory was here over 60 years.
Jeez, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah. And when the campaigns used to start, like there was a whole load of things came out of this. Like there was research done into beet. Some of the beet was grown in Sweden.
Okay.
Believe it or not, the seeds were grown in Sweden. Your father should know that. He worked up there for many years.
Yeah.
And
John should know that too. You should know that. You should know.
And then you had the beet growers, but most of the beet came from Wexford.
Okay, right.
And this then included, because Thurles was such a great location, we had the river here, and in the early stages the water from the river was used to wash the beet until suddenly there was fish dying.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you use it now? Could you wash your clothes and
fish dying,
vegetables there now?
So the angling club got onto the sugar factory about it, and what they did then was they built mud fields, dikes at the back of the sugar factory. And today, them dikes up there are the wetlands.
Oh, they'd let the shore water into a pool or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it was all done from there, and they were using the water from the river as well to clean the beat. But then back in the early 60s, then they dug their own well up there.
Right.
And I think they had a meeting below in Hayes' hotel, and one lad that I interviewed was telling me that his father dug the well above, and they had a big meeting with the sugar factory crowd below on it, and they said that it was a waste of money because they were finding no water. And that morning, before they had that meeting, they strike water above. So the message was brought back then at the meeting, and they all got up and says, this situation will have to be reviewed when they found out that there was water after striking water above. But anyway, it gave a lot of work to the people in the town, like.
Yeah.
I wonder, was that a lad, a diviner with a stick, like, or was there foreigners involved? Was there Germans again, like?
Yeah, it was actually
in the factory.
It was actually
Did the Germans point with you know what I mean, or was it a lad with a stick?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Would you believe it? The man that dug the well up there was Hopkins, was his name, and he often used a divining stick in his work.
What is it? Why you're saying a divining stick?
Yeah, do you know like the sticks they used to find water, like
a Y-shaped stick?
Yeah.
That would like bounce up and down your hand.
Oh yeah, and did you still use that? Or is it?
Well, this man used to use it.
Okay, right.
I interviewed his son. His son was telling me he used to use it,
and how does that work? Is it theory? It's like
I think there's some sort of branch of a tree. Is it a sally branch or something that you use?
Okay, a willow,
a willow. Is it a willow?
That's Sally, isn't it? Willow.
Well,
which is
Sally
a water
willow.
tree.
Willow Sally. Well, anyway, somebody else might be able to know more about divining. A divining rod, is that what they used to call them back in the day?
Yeah.
Can you know?
But anyway, he used to use that as well. But they found water above anyway, and thankfully, the mud fields anyway, as I said, is the wetlands today.
Cabra wetlands.
Yeah, Cabra wetlands. But in the early years as well, they had a mushroom factory up there.
Oh, right.
They had a mushroom factory at the back of it.
Oh, I think you were saying that. Yeah, it was like a recycling sort of thing. They used, what was it? They used all the leftover beet mulchy stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, that the houses we're living in are factory houses.
But yeah, can I drill into that a small bit? Like factory houses.
General Costello was the manager up in the factory at the time, and he was a general. He was a retired general, but everyone affectionately called him the general up there.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But he always gave work to local people, and any ex-army lad that would have been in the army or was in the old IRA,
he'd be straight in.
He would have them working. He would give them first preference to having a job at the factory.
He'd carry out the duties.
Like, there was actually army houses up there at the sugar factory as well, and he used to give the jobs to them, but the workers, when they were all kind of, they would be living with their parents and everything like that, and the families they had back then, everyone had a big family, and houses were small. So he said, if my workers want homes, he says, we'll build them homes. So what they did was, all the machinery that they had up in the factory, they would buy in all the blocks, mix the cement and everything up there. All the workers up there, the electricians, the builders, and the fellas that put in windows and the carpenters, they would all help out, and they would build the houses. The first houses were built in Arnacrusha. Hillview, I think, was second, and then our place up there, Bellevue, was the third houses built.
So they were all builders employed in the factory and then sent out there. Right, we're going to build 20 houses, lads.
And even if you got a job, if you were working in the sugar factory, there was always you would always get a good chance of getting a mortgage for a house if you were working in the factory. And it was a well sought after job because it was a pensionable job.
Yeah.
Now, in the early days,
it was a state job, I suppose, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was state owned at that stage until they started selling shares, I think, during the 60s, and that's how it became privatised.
Yeah.
That people were buying up the shares that they were getting.
And what, like, people who were working there, like, were they getting, was the pay good, like, for people?
Yeah. Now, the campaign was the cream of the crop.
What does that mean, so the campaign?
The campaign started around the end of September and October, and that's when all the beet came in.
Okay.
And the bee came in, and the factory would run from the end of September, maybe till January, depending on how much bee came in, because that's when the beet was harvested. And and the sugar was made during that time.
Okay.
And once that was over, the factory, there was no more sugar made, but the maintenance would start for the next few months to have it ready for the next campaign. Now, people ask me, where did it get the name campaign?
Yeah, I wonder, was that lingo used in other kind of agricultural projects, or what was the crack of it?
As far as I know, it's a military term.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whether it was General Costner gave it that name or not, I don't know. But
the whole thing does sound real military, like building houses and like.
Maybe it was down to this lad like that had this kind of military lingo and approach.
That's how you operate, like. This man.
Commitment to it.
Even going back, like it was the Irish government did a contract with the Belgian government to do the sugar, but the factory was built by Germans. The Germans were brought over to do it. Even if you look at it, it looks like a German building.
You know, it's like Ardna Crusher. That was like, you know, as New Ireland was kind of pushing on, they were like, hey, yeah, come on, we need the fucking egg on here, like.
But they brought over
pushes in the right direction, like.
Yeah, exactly. But they brought over sugar cooks from Czechoslovakia, from the Sudeten regions in Czechoslovakia. And they came over here, and there was always a language barrier. And a lot of it was done by sign language when they were cooked, and they were training in lads and everything like that. But the Stiliks was a family that they were Czechoslovakian. They came over, but they couldn't go back to Czechoslovakia after the war. Their lands were taken. They had a small olive grove over there, and while they were working here, they were sending money back to buy more land. So when he was finished working here, he'd go back and get his own little olive grove. But then the Second World War broke out, and then
because we're talking about the 30s into the 40s,
and then so
the factory was operating during that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
30s, and then drift into the 1940s.
That was the whole thing about the factory.
Whatever,
And the Germans, you see, the Irish government worked out a barter system with Germany at the time, because it was kind of, when you look back on it, it was after when you think of the depression that was going on, the worldwide depression, and the stock market failed and everything like that, and that went on for 20 years. And the countries were only trying to get themselves back together after that. And when you think of it, Ireland, it was amazing at the time that you were actually building a sugar factory at that time during the worldwide depression, like.
Yeah, that is, man.
And it was making money, and you've done a barter system with Germany, and they were sending over trucks and engineers, and the Irish were sending beef over to Germany at the time.
That's mad.
And so it was simpler, wasn't it? Like, it wasn't as complex services.
Yeah.
You
know, corporations located in different countries. It was what stuff can we shift out abroad? Like,
what do we need? And
what can we come up with? Yeah.
It's that simple. Yeah. Why Thurles though? Like, why did they set up in Thurles with a?
Well, there was Carlo, Mallow, Tuam, and Thurles needed something at the time. And there was a lot of people here in town that campaigned, there's that word again, campaigned, to have the sugar factory brought to Thurles, because there was really nothing in Thurles. It was a market town. And it was for small animals, fairs, horse fairs. There used to be horse fairs here, actually on a Tuesday when I was young and going to school. And they used to have the small animal markets on the square on the Saturdays, as far as I can remember. But it was to get employment in Thurles.
Okay.
The likes of John Knox.
That's
the builder Lahys used to be over across the road here. They all campaigned to have a sugar factory built in Thurles and to see if it was suitable.
Why they want to be able to supply the stuff like it.
And lucky enough, we have the river. We had the railway station. So.
Yeah, and the central part of Ireland as well is always the thing. So it sounds like that even politics hasn't changed. That where people were from, if they're involved in something, they were like, well, I'm from Thurles. Thurles needs a hand, so let's set it up there.
A thriving town.
Yeah, we weren't the first. We were like the third or fourth, weren't we?
Yeah.
Was that it?
There was Carlo, Mallow, and Tuam.
So we saw this successful blueprint, and we were like, give me that.
Yeah.
Give me a bit of that, like.
And you miss the sugar? Do you miss the sugar, John?
I still eat a lot of it right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Never got off it.
Stevie's heartbroken. But yeah, what, like, I don't know. So when it closed down, then what's the story behind the closing down and the effect it had on Thurles?
Well, I'd say a lot of it had to do with when we joined the EUC with the sugar quotas and everything like that.
Did you bring it up just more?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well,
I had no sugar this morning, sorry.
Yeah.
The strength is down.
Drooping down. Aggressively down.
It had a lot to do with the EUC when we joined the EUC. They cut back on sugar quotas. So when they cut back on the sugar quotas, the farmers weren't going to grow beet. And of course then you had a lot of what do you call them at the time, shareholders with the company. And if the sugar factory wasn't going to make money, they were going to sell off what they could and put their money into something else.
So were we limited from an EU
because
point
it
of
ended
view?
up that Cumberford's bought the sugar factory, so they owned the sugar factory. It was no longer a semi-state body. So just in the end, it was just sold off. They went off and put their money into other things. And like the farmers, if the sugar factory, every year it was getting smaller, the beet growing was getting smaller, so eventually they stopped growing the beet and the farmers were going to go off and do something else. But at the end of the day, like for the likes of farmers with small shareholdings and everything like that, they grew a small bit of beet, brought it into the factory. They got jobs for the campaign in the factory. And as one lad said to me, he says, only for the campaign being on in that sugar factory in Thurles, he says, I would have had to sell my small holding and I would have to move my family out of this community or emigrate, he says. But it kept families together. And as another lad said to me, he said, if the sugar factory wasn't there, would Sarsfield have as many good hurlers as they have today?
Well, why is that? Is there a connection?
Because a lot of them emigrated.
Oh,
Like a lot of them would have emigrated to England during the war years and everything like that. And after the war, used to go over McAlpines and they'd work on the buildings there. And a lot of them would come back for the campaigns.
Right,
So
there
they
was
could be at home if
there
they
was
could
a
get into the
SARS kind of
campaign.
heyday through was it 70s or when did they win a load of stuff? 70s, was it?
The 70s, yeah. Yeah.
So that was it, like.
They had a lot of sugar back then.
Yeah, you had like kind of first generation sugar people and their kids.
Sugar people.
And then it was like a brilliant team, like, you know.
Yeah.
Second generation sugar family.
Sugar babes.
But, you know,
And sugar, a lot of sugar daddies around as well.
and the lads were full of spunk and they were like, you know,
Full of what?
full of sugar,
Full of sugar, yeah.
full of beans, like. And they were winning all around them, like. That's it though, it's industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of sweet babies around there.
That's like England and the industrial towns and big factories and football teams.
Yeah, that's how it
Yeah.
was.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing about the sugar factory. There was an awful lot of sports involved in it. Like they started the Garden Angel run every year for the children with special needs, and that went on for years till they got enough money to build the place up in the Palatine.
Yeah.
And once they had that built, the government took over
But they need
what they needed after that and stopped the run. But then they started doing it for the Crumlin children's run. And when the sugar factory closed, Aaron Foods, which was a subsidiary company of the sugar factory, they took over that until that place closed down as well. And as you can see, there's hardly any industries in this town, except for Druid Valley Meats is really the only one going at the moment. And
secondary schools.
yeah.
And what?
Secondary schools.
What does that mean?
That's what I mean.
Oh, yes.
No, we export teenagers, like.
But it's good to know that the
yeah.
Sarsfields are still
Yeah.
going strong anyway,
Actually,
even
it
if the
really
sugar
is.
factory is gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is mad.
We used to send cattle off on the train, and now we send teenagers
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
Dublin. You know, like,
It's true.
You can't beat it. Yeah.
yeah, like from what I heard, like the sensation was from the stories I've heard of it closing down. Always reminded me of like you see those movies all the time of like some town in the middle of America, everyone's happy and stuff, and then this factory closes, and then everything turns black and white. Like from your like research or stuff, or even knowing yourself from stories, like what was the effect? Like, do you know much about the day it shut down in the town, or like the sensation around, or
there was a sense of grief around the town when it closed down, because like it was there for so long, and even as a young lad, when the campaign was going, and it's something when I interview people, they always remembered was the smell of the sugar factory.
Is it a good smell or a bad?
It was a sweet smell.
Okay.
It was a smell of the pulp, but it wasn't a bad smell. But it was a nice smell. But
it was there.
You could see the fog in the air when you knew the sugar factory was gone.
Yeah.
And you get this smell. And the one thing about the smell is once you got that smell, you knew that Christmas was around the corner when you were a young lad. That Christmas was coming. And that was the best thing about it was that
coming,
people had
money.
Had money for Christmas.
Yeah.
They knew they were going to have a good Christmas.
Yeah.
And the thing is about it back then is everyone kind of shared everything. If you're living, your neighbour hadn't something. Well, the husband's in the factory. He'll have the few bob this week. He'll be able to give you. Yeah. And I remember the days where people would be going in and out, and they'd have a little cup, and they'd be going in. Says you wouldn't have a bit of sugar in there, and they'd put the sugar in the cup, but they'd come back with the same amount of sugar in the cup to give you back what they had, or a drop of milk in the jug, and they'd bring you back, or a half pound of butter when you could get a half pound of butter.
Yeah.
And no such thing as fridges back then. They had what they called a safe at the back of the house, where they used to have a little pot with water in it, and they'd have the bottle of milk down in it to keep it fresh.
Nice.
And the butter would be left in the safe outside.
Down in the ground, like, was it?
Some of them were on the ground, some of them were on it was like a stand. They'd have them on a stand, and some would be on the wall, nailed into the wall at the back of the thing.
Right.
It was just a grill, a little box with a grill on it, just to keep the butter from going off.
That's mad.
The milk.
And anyone here as well, like you don't have to worry if you want to go like drink pints or whatever, you're allowed. You won't be in front of the cameras or anything, like drink all the drink or all the water. That's what I would promote, water. But yeah, like why I always hear two different things. Like sometimes I hear, bottom line of the story is from everyone I hear, everyone was making loads of money. Sometimes I hear people were like driving nice cars or they were spending on good things. But then the other time I hear a lot of lads didn't have that many nice things because they were actually just drinking more pints. Is that true? Like I heard there's lots more pints being drank.
Well, there's always a drinking culture, no matter where you go.
Yeah.
There's in a factory,
or here,
in college, or just young people going out and having the crack.
Yeah.
That's it. There's a drinking culture no matter where you go.
Yeah.
And that's all part of it, isn't it?
And nothing beats like a gang of fellas working there was good their wages, like, collecting their wages.
Like there was good money to be made during the campaign because you were working long hours. But originally when the campaign started, you got a bonus after the campaign, a check once it was finished. And then when the union started up in the factory, they worked out shift rates, so that meant then the bonus was gone. They got it on their weekly wage every week. So people that would have went into the sugar factory, say for the campaign, they would have been put in emergency tax. So when they were on emergency tax, some of them might get their tax form but mightn't hand it in, and they'd wait for a few weeks before they'd hand in their tax form, and they'd get all their tax in a big bulk sum. So I know what I did with mine anyway.
What, loads of vegetables and a healthy dinner.
Yes, and a nice creamy head on the cabbage.
Yeah, well, I'd be interested.
But it came at a good time, like the campaign at Christmas time. But the horrible part was about one lad said that he, for 23 years that he worked in the factory, he was never home on the Christmas day. That was the downfall.
Oh, really?
Because Christmas Day was triple time.
That's
That's
really interesting, though. In a time in Ireland that was very much still Catholic Ireland, was that like a bit of a like controversy? Like, because even up until the 90s, people were like afraid to open.
Well, they sorted out that.
Okay.
They used to have mass in the factory every Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God.
was,
That's brilliant.
Industry.
Yeah. That's smart. But still,
Yes.
though,
That's
mad,
good,
though.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
mass in the factory in the canteen.
Okay, right.
And the local people that would have been around that area would have went to mass there as well.
Yeah. Okay,
I bet you your father often brought you up there on a Sunday to go to mass.
You missed the mass.
When did it shut down? Was I alive?
Do you not remember sitting in the corner?
I don't know. Was I alive? Like, when was that?
Do you not remember sitting in the corner in the canteen at mass eating a bag of potatoes?
Wait,
Having a bottle of
what year?
the one's orange.
What year did the sugar factory close? I say I wasn't born.
Yeah, but it actually, hang on a
But you were
second.
still there.
It was the late 80s.
You see, he's trying to pretend he's not a sugar
I was born in
baby.
85.
You know he is.
Fuck.
He's a sugar baby.
Yeah, no, hang on. It was close in like, what, the early 90s? Yeah, you weren't born.
And that probably would have been my brother Matty. I'd say.
Yeah.
Brother Matty, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're very alike.
I get that the whole time.
One of you was eating potatoes at mass. Didn't
Yeah. Because you were your brother.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have we have a fan, Paddy. Paddy, you're in the audience. Would you like to join us for a moment? Are you heading off? Come on, sit down.
Who, Paddy?
We'd love to get. You're another historian of the town.
Rest
This
yourself.
is-
We had Paddy on before. I'm
Come
kind
on.
of worried about asking him because he'll
Would
probably
you-
just come on and offend
Would you
me.
believe it if I told you?
Yeah.
Would you believe it? So Paddy's the first cousin, man.
How are you? Yeah, sure, come on then.
Come on down, cousin.
There, let you.
We have a mic here.
Come on now.
Come on. You. This is another historian of the town who knows a lot. Last time he was on, though, we had to edit out half of it 'cause he was trying to get us deleted off YouTube.
How come he got the big mic and I got the small?
How are you? One sec. Which
He's
one is
got
that?
a kind of a
That's because they have a
Talk
big
into it
thing
now.
at the top of it.
Yeah, there you go. It is working.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Which one is that?
I can, Paddy.
Talk into it there.
He's got a kind of match commentator's kind of a mic, hasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Kind of.
Paddy, so what were you were telling me something outside about the sugar factory about how you used to get free lifts from the industry.
It should be. All held secret. You shouldn't be.
Okay.
An unmarked car or a kind of a marked car. Or what?
It's like Eddie was saying, because Eddie done a lot of research on it. The sugar factory, when we were young, we used to get free lifts home on the back of tractors and the way up to school from Loughtogalla. Because what happened was when they were bringing in the beat, when we were all about knee-high to grasshopper, we used to jump on the back of the tractor. And because it was so wide at the time in the beat, the farmers wouldn't see us. And then we jump off up the square. But what happened a few times is when we were heading home, when they're empty, they moved faster around our town. And what happened is when we were going home along, the tractors wouldn't stop and we couldn't go off because it was going too fast, so we ended about 3 miles out the road. So it was better to walk home than try and tumble in the back of a tractor. Yeah, the sugar factory, like Eddie was saying, it had great employment for everybody here.
Yeah.
What I saw with the sugar factory going up, it depends on what political persuasion was in and who you were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was sold up to a degree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it gave great employment and great work to the people, the toilers. But there was others who had to emigrate because they couldn't get in there.
Oh,
So
really?
they had to
Depending
go to
on who you
England,
were allegiance to or
they had
whatever
to
you
go
were.
to England or somewhere else because they couldn't get the
Jesus.
factory because it was sold up.
So what to be favoured, what did you need to be like?
Sorry, no, I forgot to tell you, I have a hearing loss, to repeat that.
To be like, in order to kind of be getting in, what did you need to be seen as? Did you need to be seen as Fianna Fáil or Fianna Fáil?
Yeah, it depends what party were in power at the time. You know, but Fianna Fáil was in, most Fianna Fáil people got in, the Fine Gael got in 4 years later, Fine Gael got in.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And then they were sold up by family members. Now up our way, it was kind of passed down. If a father was in there, his sons got in there, the nephews got in there on the campaign.
So there was political affiliation or nepotism.
Yeah. And, but still, it created a lot of employment for the town.
Yeah.
The only thing that got me, no offence to any of them, is that the party that opened it were the party that closed it down years later. You know what I mean?
Wait, say that again. So
the party that opened it
Oh.
When the party that closed it down
Okay,
a year later. And it was making 2 million, I believe.
Well,
profit.
it was
1 point something 2 million when they closed it down.
it was
It kind of ruled.
it was opened under the Cumann Gael government at the time. And the Cumann Gael government then merged with smaller parties and they became Fianna Gael. It was afterwards then Fianna Fáil were involved in it. After
Primarily
they got
then
in.
through the times.
Yeah. But, and that's the interesting thing about it. When you think you know something, you might have hearsay and people's opinions on things and everything like that. But until you start researching it, you really see the politics that was involved in it. And
So much stronger then, wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
identity, and it was like
you're talking about a factory being built, and this was built after a few years, say 11, 12 years after Ireland had actually got its independence. And here was a country, just a government starting out on its own, and then to build something like the sugar factories and start their own industries and power stations and the Garda service and everything came out of that. And it was incredible, like for a new government, a young government as well, you could say, that starting off to actually start something like that.
And what interested to know, like we're going to bring on Mill Road on now in about 5-10 minutes, and they're lovely folks. And there's James. James is also someone who says things that might get us deleted on YouTube. But yeah, what do you think? So you were around during the sugar factory, and that was a massive loss to Thurles. Do you believe that there's the potential for another industry or another thing, whatever that is, to glue the town together? Because like people are painting the buildings and there's a mural and the square's being done, but none of that means anything unless there's like a soul to the town again, which it sounds like that's what the sugar factory was. Like,
Right.
do you feel like there could be some?
Yeah. And this is another reason why I done this project,
Okay.
because it seems like Thurles has been ignored where industries are concerned in the last few years. Like since the sugar company went, Air Foods went. There's no really any industries in town anymore, and we seem to be forgotten about. Like Nina is thriving, Clonmel is thriving,
Yeah.
and Thurles seems to be like Bournemouth is gone. When you think of all the companies that were
kind
in
of
here
like
in
a
town,
30-year slide. Isn't
yeah,
it? Like,
the likes
you
of
said last couple of years, like
Yeah.
last couple of decades.
Yeah,
well,
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
The likes of the Air Foods is gone, Sugar Factory's gone, Bournemouth is gone.
Yeah.
There was Shore Valley here. You had Dewan's Mineral Waters. You had O'Mara's Mineral Waters.
my whole life
you had all the
is-
bakeries in town. You had
Those
loads
I
of
am.
bakeries,
Stuff has been
Cody's,
closing down.
Butlers, and Sweeney's bakeries. All gone.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Thurles became, if you look at Thurles, go back in the historical time, Thurles was always a black town.
Okay.
Kind of Munster, Ireland, whatever.
So that's
It
that
had
means
the
ignored,
only
like-
thing, the only thing that made Thurles during the last couple of decades were the sugar factory and foods and things like that. Like Eddie said, we lost a lot of industry. The ones, Kerwin's ones before that, Sutton's over there, or the O'Mara's, the corn, everything. We lost a lot.
Paddy, when you say it was a black town, like it was always a kind of a hole in the map, like.
If you go back to the records history, you would see the amount of immigration that happened during the 30s, 40s, 50s in this
Right,
town.
1900.
Even if we go back to our parents, my father, he jumped on the back of a lorry up here in Liberty Square to go over and work with McAlpine.
Right.
During the 40s, and then he worked with other building companies over there. But he wasn't the only one. They used to send trucks over,
Yeah.
and they'd pick up the Irish and bring them over and we give them work. And people from here used to jump on the back of the truck, send over the postal order then on a Friday to the wives back here, and they'd go from the cash it then to feed the family. So
We always exported, like.
yeah, but what do you call it? And it was, don't get it wrong now, it was what do you call it? The factory brought it, but it was still, like I said, who was in the political persuasion and what you were. And what I found to me, and I always said, and I stick to what I say, I always saw Thurles as a rich man, poor man town. It depends what side of the river you came from. And I always saw the rich man, poor man town, and it depends on the persuasion you had at the time.
I'm an East Ender. I'm an East Ender. I'm from the
Hey,
East
you're
End.
the other side. You're okay.
Well, like go
But
way
it's-
back. Go way
it's
back.
like you talked about nepotism there, and that was part of the sugar factory as well. If your father worked there, you were going to get a job in there,
Yeah.
and you had a good
Yeah.
chance of getting a job.
But
in
is
there.
that just
That's the-
like when? Could you give an example of when that doesn't happen? I feel like that is just
Sorry, repeat that, Kieran.
like that's what happened in the sugar factory. But could you ever give an example anywhere in the world where that doesn't happen? Is that like just a thing? Full stop. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll put it this way: it was part of the sugar factory. If your father worked there, you got
You had
a
an almost
10%,
entitlement.
You got a 10% more chance of getting in there,
You still have to interview.
which
You still
would have
to
been
interview,
part.
or did you just have to walk
part
in
of
the
the
gate one day?
Huh?
Did you still have to interview? Was there kind of a
You still,
pretend process,
yeah,
like-
you still
Yeah,
had to do the interview.
Okay, right.
But you knew you had 10% more of a chance than
right.
the other guy.
Yeah, grand.
If you look at the
Yeah,
sugar factory,
I remember going for an interview up there, and I was sitting down, and it was for one of the trade jobs up there at the time, and one of the lads sitting beside me, and he says, "You see that lad going out the door there?" And I says, "Yeah, he got the job." And I said, "What makes you think he got the job? His father works there, and he got the job."
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that is
Sure,
mad.
look, yeah. that's
So
part of it.
is there hope for Turles?
a
The big
hope.
question, the future, the now. Should
Well,
we?
look, if
Well,
you-
I
Should
see
we lock up and
crowds of
go
people
home?
following
Look at
Paddy
Hurling
Loughnane
now.
there.
If you look at Hurling now, the square is gone.
Yeah.
What have we? We have a continental kind of cafes on the square.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People, we built a 10 million euro, now fair play, lovely job, but 10 million euro just for slabs to widen the path and Marathon Roadway. So
Yeah.
we're getting right condition, but it's become more continental. Actually,
Yeah.
culture night, I think Ireland has lost, it's losing, it's not lost, I apologise for that word. Ireland losing identity. If I asked you, what do you think of Ireland culture? What answer would you give me?
As in, what do I think it is?
Yeah, what answer would you give me if I said to you, what is Irish culture?
Well, mine would probably be a bit more like abstract. I still think there's a thing in Ireland that still lives in Ireland, which is the time of like back, like talking 1,000 years ago. I don't know, the energy of like people, like as easy as it is to say, have the crack, and I don't know what it is, like festive, like mentality, like the dancing around the fire and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you're saying Turles still has flag as Fáilte, as
I
Melvin
think
Brennan.
Ireland does. I think there's some places that still have it better than Turles. I do think what you're saying. Like this thing with the square is brilliant, and it's lovely, and I love that they did the square. I think it looks lovely.
Yeah,
but
it's-
all the money went into it. The problem is that like the people doing it, like they're disconnected because they're not living in the estates we're all living in. They're not. So it's a really good thing. I'd never complain about it. But the difference is you can't build a square and then not build a center for young people to do things. You know, all this stuff that means something. Like it all disappears. Like young people don't care about the square. Like that's just a fact.
Well, it's true. Yeah.
Middle-aged people like me
Yeah.
love the square.
And
They bring their kids up and walk around.
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
Paddy is talking about the square, we're talking about our days when we went up that square when we were
Yeah.
young lads on a Saturday. There was markets the whole way
Yeah.
along it. They had the markets in the centre,
Yeah.
and there was always a buzz
A vibrancy,
and
yeah.
vibrancy in the
Yeah,
square
yeah,
in the
yeah.
town.
Yeah.
And
I think it's
important.
it is that whole thing though. It's like it wasn't the square itself that gave the town life. It was like what happened in the square.
Yeah.
So by
Exactly,
just doing
yeah.
up the square, you're not bringing that life back.
Yeah.
You need to actually give something that people actually like kind of swarm around, so they have that life and soul.
Yeah.
And wherever that happens will be like the center of the town, the life of the town. So if you just do it up and make it look pretty, but there's nothing to do there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The platform,
you're not actually bringing the life back.
platform
Yeah, you
is
need the
there now.
substance
Need
there.
substance.
Because if you look at the last market, if I can remember distinctly, was 1978 on the square. And then it was taken off and set up the Parnell Street car park. Then it died there. Now we have a big square up there. They brought the market back, which I suppose mightn't generate what we look for, because it was a different era when me and Eddie were growing up. He'd be younger.
Yeah.
But it was a different kind of time when we were growing up in.
Yeah.
So if we were to bring it back now, would it work? I mean, okay, they brought it back here some, but
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
they had
Yeah,
the
yeah.
market there be too.
Even the market house when it was up there, it was a meeting place for
Oh, that was
people
a meeting place.
when to meet and
Yeah.
Yeah.
they all meet up there and to be standing
What
outside
I
having
see
their
about
chat.
Hurling is, like Eddie was saying, the market house. We're looking for tourists to come to Turles,
Yeah.
but we're destroying the historical aspect of Turles.
Yeah.
If we take the walkway they put up there by Money Kiva, what we call College Lane, Now that lane was built by the people of Thurles, the famine victims of Thurles, to make 7 pence at the time.
Okay.
And it was built. And now it's great to have a walkway there. But why didn't they just widen it a bit? But why didn't they just put historical things in there as well? And kind of notice board saying what it's about. And they just turned it. What's happening in Thurles and surrounding towns around? We've come over Blue Way and the Greenway, cycling way, walking way, but no historical. Now we went to Cashel or anywhere, everything is historical. Any other town, but Thurles seems to be just. We're not promoting ourselves.
Yeah.
If I was down to the what do you call that place down there, the tourist office,
Lorna Park,
and I asked them, could you tell me where I could go? They sent me to Holy Cross. They were sending me to Cashel.
Yeah.
I said no, I want to know what's in Thurles, and they couldn't tell me.
Well, I think
the
because
TA was the thing they were sending me to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Thurles is going back in archaeology. Thurles is known in the archaeology circle as a historical town.
Yeah.
All those.
Yeah,
But do you know what? Do you know what I think a part of that is though? Is that like people? I think people want like something visual. And I think it's like like all the history and stuff. Like I find really interesting and stuff. But like, is there a way? Like you always say Rock Castle, and people go wow without even having to look into it.
Yes.
So I feel like if there's way, and I think that's the thing that's missing. But I still also think though what you're saying is there is more potential to even build monuments that could be attractive to attract people towards the information or something. Yeah, there's definitely need.
We don't have the built history like the castle. Ruin so much, but like, maybe that's superficial in a sense, and the kind of history that you're talking about, social history and the actual human history is richer.
Yeah,
it's more of a resource. If it's packaged and if it's delivered, like
because
the way it used to be, and the way
we have 2 castles there. 1453, and that one here, the Black Castle above, and they just lived there. We had a workhouse that was historical. And they could have kept it because there's plenty of land to build a community hospital beside it. But to me now, and with only my opinion, is people seem to be trying to, I won't say destroy or eradicate our history, but seem to want us to forget part of our history. And when American people come over, or English or Thurles, they're not coming over to see buildings, they're coming over to see the historical and to find when the family came and the history of the families and all here. So if Thurles looked at the tourist side of things and build up on these historical things again, they might work out better. We might get a lot of people come down and get more employment in the tourist aspect now.
That is a part of the boom. When the boom hit, everything that was historical was knocked to build something new. And I remember one of the tutors that was a photographer. He lectures in Holland, and he came to give us a talk in the college there a few years ago. And he says, when I'm married to an American girl. He says, when I go to America, I use film all the time. I fill up a bag. He says, with film when I go to America. And he says, over there you can still get old places and take photographs of them. I said, can't you get old places around here? But he says, not really. Every old place now is knocked to build something new. There's nothing, no old buildings left. Sheds were knocked to build a house on. All those scenic little cow sheds that you see, stone sheds, gone.
Yeah.
If there was a pothole in the road, there was a house built in it.
Yeah, it seems to be a conservation feeling now, but I can't believe that they knocked the workhouse, like the
workhouse.
I can't.
And that was.
And same with the.
There was something that look of it, that kind of austere, slightly scary, religious look of the place, and the idea, the disease or the desperation, and the way it was at a kind of an arm's reach of the town was like, go up there. There was something.
If you go up there, you're not coming back.
There's something about it. It was amazing. You don't probably don't remember it, do you?
No.
Yeah, there has to be Assumption, like the old one,
Okay.
If you ask a lot of people,
the railing at the front and the facade, the kind of 3 stories or whatever was there.
Yeah.
A lot of the older generation, when it became the name, the county home, we said to people, "Oh, you'll be going to county home," they used to get petrified. Because they saw it as a kind of a black place, going back to the family.
It was a workhouse back in the day.
Yeah. That's mad. We're going to bring Mill Road on now to try and Yeah, that's the answer you're looking for as well. Mill Road are here to. That's our hope for Thurles.
That's the
So the
solution.
pressure's all on
That's what
them.
we got.
As you listen to them talk, they'll explain why they're the hope of town.
Well, they have a
Hey, thanks.
they have a historical road because of
Yeah,
the
they
church
do.
out there as well.
Yeah.
The Mill Road.
Yeah.
That's where the famine fat hit on the Mill
All right.
Road. So they have
Didn't know
a
that.
historical name.
There used to be a mill out there as well.
And a road. Road's gone though. Road's- thanks a million for
Thank you,
coming
Kieran.
on, lads.
And thanks, Kieran,
it's
for
great
having
to
me.
talk to you again. And thanks for not trying to get
I
us
know it-
deleted off YouTube this time. Appreciate it.
I said I'd be nice to you. The other time.
Now,
Sound. Thanks.
Where am I? You wanna have
Um,
it, buddy? You can be up there.
Sound. Sound.
I think we definitely have. Right. So we're going to have corner six at the seat. I'll share my Which flavour do you want? I would like. You can swap.
Is it on? Oh, it is on.
I started to do really bad MC. Glad I definitely should.
If they leave it down away from the electronics.
There's the other one, wasn't it?
If you're leaving it down.
You have. I leave it in my hand maybe. I gotta cover the label. It's just like a copyright infringement.
Well, they're not paying us, so yeah.
It's like an episode of Friends.
Yeah,
You know, it's a can of Coke, you can't see it's a can of Coke. Yeah. It's a whole thing.
So yeah, it's like. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Hey, is that still recording? Yeah.
Right.
Where's Owen gone? Where is he? What's that? Can you switch?
This couch actually fits the four of us quite snugly. I'm gonna have to adjust myself in case I can lean across to be flex. Hold on. No, so then it'll spill on the electrics. There's electrics everywhere. all around. Oh, that shows what. Yeah, I'm only an electrician. I wouldn't know anything about this. Yeah, you're right. Cables do not cause electricity.
Yeah, an electrician and a musician, you should know everything about this.
I know everything about everything, full stop. Ask me anything.
What's the capital of Mongolia?
No, that's Nepal.
What?
That's Nepal. It's
I don't know how to pronounce it, but I know what it is.
I'm pretty sure I do. It's in there somewhere.
Got the first letter?
Give me the first there.
U. Two words. First word starts with U. Second one starts with B. Or maybe it's all one word, actually.
What's your
Ulan
name?
Bator. Second Ulan Bator. So you know almost everything.
Yeah, he jumped on.
You don't know everything.
So quickly we can get this shut down. I got places to be. Oh, I did the same minute.
Oh, big fat Mike. John Motson, Mike.
John's back with a point.
Sorry.
Can you hear me? Can I hear you?
Yeah, Johnny Glass.
Yeah.
Or should this to say Mike?
Hello.
I'll just leave it like that.
You
Hey.
feel, yeah, you're the underclass.
You can hold it.
You're just, yeah.
Hello.
You'll take what you're given. You'll just.
Just go. Hey Owen, and
No, on the showbiz echelons, I look up at you and I'm like, how can I get up there?
on the what?
On the showbiz echelons, like the star power. As in old people. How can we get older?
I'm just gonna do this. You're allowed what? Yeah. Yeah. You're allowed, yeah, you can do whatever you want.
This isn't a secret live podcast.
No.
This is an open live podcast.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a letterbox.
A letterbox? Why? Oh. Is your letterbox open? It should be closed.
Well, it's never locked.
Okay, right. Wait, because you probably have an outdoor letterbox that you go out and collect.
No, actually.
Is it connected to your house, your letterbox?
Just a little slot in the door.
No, I have an outdoor one, yeah.
You have an outdoor one?
Yeah.
Jesus.
21st century.
Wait, can you talk? Yeah, talk. Talking.
Yeah.
Tell us about your letterbox for a sec.
Yeah, it's completely outside, so you could just leave it for a few days, and then you go out there, and then there's loads of stuff in there.
Alright.
So it's much more worthwhile.
Like a cat having kittens.
Yeah, you open the box, and there's like piles of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. John's back with a pint.
Yeah, I'm comfortable. I've gone to the toilet.
What?
And I've a drink.
Do you enter the toilet?
In and
How
out, yeah.
was that?
It was good, yeah. I met your brother.
Yeah? Yeah, the two of you just disappeared. I was like, we're still going. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, met your brother. Nice chat there.
Yeah.
He washed his hands.
What do you think about the lads just washing their hands together? Stevie?
No comment.
No comment. We're joined this week, same episode, we're joined by Kira, Callum, and Kate, and I fucking forgot your name.
Francis.
Shit, Francis, yeah. You actually do kind of look like a Francis.
My middle name is Francis, would
Is
you
it actually?
believe? It is indeed.
That makes
wow.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Right, 1 second. Is this volume okay or is that too loud? Okay. Yeah, so this, as a collective, year Mill Road. And do you still go by that name since the last time we talked?
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, the last time you were on the podcast before, and now you're all old. It was a few years ago. You're all old now. You're all in college.
Geriatric.
What's it like being old?
You have to take a lot of supplements.
Yeah.
You got your cod liver oil.
Yeah.
You got your vitamin EBC. You know.
Yeah.
You got your B12.
Okay.
You have to stop eating butter. You have to start eating flora, which is butter, but it's not butter.
No,
It behaves like butter, but it isn't. It's a butter imposter.
It's in the butter section as well.
Back to the butter.
You have to start getting up really early, so
Okay.
you can tell everyone, oh, I couldn't stay in bed that long. I was up at 5:30 this morning. But then you fall asleep watching the lunchtime news, like, you know. But that's being older, really, in a nutshell.
Nice.
For me, anyway. I don't know about the rest of the Mill Road.
Yeah, what's your experience of it? You just going to college and stuff, not like him eating flora. He's like,
Good for you, man.
yeah, what did you think? So you were there, like, because that's why we had you on, 'cause we wanted the first, like, half of it was to kind of talk about the sugar factory, the sort of, an older part of Thurles, and, like, when I think of the new Thurles, like, you're genuinely what I think of, like, it's just Mill Road and, as a band. And what did you think about, do you find it interesting, like, hearing about the sugar factory, the old industry and stuff like?
Someone else is going to have to use their mic. I've used up all my talking points. Go.
Wait, is this a question? Is this more nervous than doing playing a gig, or is it different? Because I would be way more nervous, like singing and stuff, like. But that's because I can't sing.
Oh, this is
You did loads of
way.
podcasts. So.
Right? Oh yeah, and that's mad.
This is kind of James's gig.
Yeah, I'm not like.
Yeah, he's here.
I'm just pretending to be a musician. My real talent is just talking
Talking.
absolute nonsense.
Definitely.
So this is my happy place.
Ideal, yeah.
You have to give me a platform. That's very dangerous, like, you know.
Yeah.
If I get a flavour for this, I might make like a militia or something. You know? But we'd be a good crack militia.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the sugar factory question.
Back to the
Sorry.
sugar factory. Yeah.
It's completely alien to me
Yeah.
in the sense that there was an industry that's kind of I don't know. It's a thing everybody knows about, bar us. I don't mean the four of us, but like
Yeah.
people our age, you know.
Generationally, like
Yeah, exactly.
There's a gap.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing that like Board Namona is kind of a thing that I'd be like. I guess the sugar factory was like that.
I have to use my imagination as well, like, you know.
Yeah.
Can you imagine all these lads coming in off the shift, and they have their, as in the work shift, and they have their wages paid, and they're coming into town, and they're like, you know, they're ready to fucking
Life is
get
good.
the groceries.
Yeah.
Have
Few messages.
Have a feed of pints.
Bring Maureen, tell her put on the fry.
Do you know they're flushed.
Iron me shirt. I'll be home in the morning.
But it was more, you know, it was more coordinated. The force of people coming back into town with the wages paid
Simpler times.
from the same place, not from different places.
There was no Revolut. There was no. there was the one L Bank, like, do you know. All got the wages the same day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's good times.
Actually, I wonder was it lodged into the account or was it collected in the office?
Oh, jeez, no, you would have got a check, or you would have got an envelope, I'd say, with shillings and
Would it have been
penny
cash?
fardens and what have you.
Would it? Yeah, like would it have been a
It's all cash. It's all cash.
and even more still, can you imagine that?
It's a tough time for the
Your hand would be hot, your pocket would be hot.
The revenue man was struggling back in them days.
Yeah.
He had no records or nothing.
And he, what do you like think? Like, I don't know, from because it'd be similar age and stuff. But like, what do you think of? Like, I was the same. I had no idea about the sugar factory and stuff until talking to Eddie a few months ago, and I thought it was really interesting. The one thing that struck in my head though was, for a couple of years, I heard people saying like that just sugar factory's gone. There's no more industry in Thurles. Like, I really think it's possible that one of Thurles' industry could eventually be creativity, just because of the sheer amount of like musicians and events. Like, I've lived in a good few different towns, and I know for a fact there just isn't this amount of events and musicians and artists and poets and everything per population like than in any other town. Like, and I think that, like, I don't know, I personally think creativity could be that glue that we're saying that's missing from the square and stuff like that.
Sorry. It's all anyway.
I couldn't believe on that, like, this year especially, when I walked into Féile Beag. I kind of couldn't believe it. It was like Thurles multiplied by 5. Do you know, it just looked amazing.
Why 5?
I'm convinced, like, I know Kieran says that about the kind of head of population and the creativity, but like when you walked into Féile Beag into Hickey's there, you saw a sea of people ahead of you, and it was all Thurles acts and all Thurles people standing, bar tourists, I'm sure, that came for it. It looked amazing, like amazing. This purely indigenous thing, like.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's all like.
I don't know, does that exist? I'd like to second your point. I don't know, does that exist anywhere
in other places? Like, there's obviously, like, there's loads of events going on, but I don't think I've ever seen an event like the Féile Beag is the best example, because it's just like, it's mainly like just these local acts, and they're all local acts that have originals and stuff like that. I've tried, like, because what we're working on, like, we've looked at, like, how do we start this in other towns around here, like, and looked at the different bands, and they're just genuinely, in our own research, isn't the amount of like bands or content, original content, to have like that real like to have the sensation that creativity is a massive part of the town. And I think that that's massively ignored sometimes by the town. And I think you can even capitalize on it in terms of like actually it being an industry for money. Like, events could be placed for the town because of your lovely music. And
would you notice that as well? Like, just say in your age group, like, would there, like, the amount of musicians or poets or like people who even write or just creativity in general, like, would you notice that it's fairly common around?
It's strange enough now, because like it's so I don't know. Being weird is kind of cool now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you're weird, you're cool.
I'd usually say, like, if you're odd, you're cool. Cause weird is still kind of more of the creepy side. But odd,
you don't want to be,
weird.
Like, generally, if someone describes you as a bit odd, you're probably okay. Like, if someone says he's weird,
you're definitely called Uncle Roger. And Uncle Roger is weird, but me and Stevie are just odd. I like that. That's a good way to put it. But yeah, there would be a nice subculture of creative people in our age demographic. I don't know.
Like, specifically around.
There's a lot of places that like nurture creativity for our age as well.
This is very
like
true.
People like you and like Sully, who set up like Féile Beag and all that.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for you, we'd be just playing in the cottage. We'd have no one to play like, and
Yeah, I think, but like it's a what came first, the chicken or the egg? Because it's really easy for us to put on events in the town because the content's there. Like, so it's a cycle that can grow, and that's what I mean. Like, it can grow you feed off each other. Everyone's doing the same thing, and it's just like, you know, you've helped us out in the past by like just performing, and then like, I don't know, there's a real like community spirit around the creativity scene in Thurles, which is really cool. And that's kind of like what we want to build. Like,
I think that's like the thing, like you were saying, would say there is so many bands and poets and just creative people in general who have a platform in Thurles now, that the reason you were saying there's like a community kind of a feel about it all is because there's so many of us that anyone who's a small bit older and still creating, they remember being whatever we are, we'll say 20, 21, 19, and they remember it just being a struggle. Like, I was about to curse to make it like sound less serious, but then I remembered I can't. So struggle is a bit strong of a word, but I just mean like, I think anyone who's kind of...
Those opportunities weren't there, like.
Exactly. And I think there's a real sympathy for people. Sympathy, again, it's too strong a word, because this isn't, you know, this is
empathy,
hard. This is just a bit of crack.
Yeah.
But everyone understands, and everyone's like really on board to dig you out and give you a platform or give you a chance to get going. Like, and like there is a huge just general soundness around town, do you know?
Yeah.
But,
go on.
No,
you go, James. We've done like 200 episodes.
I want to know more about like your, you know, group at the moment. Did that come from other groups that broke up, or you formed your thing, or is there other mini Mill Roads that now exist because you've kind of coalesced into one? Do you know, like,
coalesce? That's a beautiful word.
Was there a wider group of people, you know, or like did other groups come to form Mill Road, and now which there are other people that are forming other groups, or did Mill Road sort of just emerge from the rock? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, like,
sort of.
Yeah.
You used a lot of words there, John. You just made and wrapped and cut in half a word sandwich, and now I meant to eat it, and I'm actually quite full at the minute. So you know, it's hard for me to understand what you said, but I do get where you're coming from.
Yeah. Now that we see 4 individuals sitting on the chair,
I feel like
10 or 12 other individuals, or 16
I get you.
orbiting individuals.
I think
that now have multiple other groups.
Yeah, John, you're losing me here, man.
I think
definitely not that big of a circle.
I could be wrong, but I think he's saying, like, were you like kind of like a super group, or did you just form yourselves? Is that kind of what you're saying? Like,
did Louis Walsh fly in?
Did you start off in like different bands and then find each other, or did you just?
None of us were in
Burns got
other
an answer.
bands. There was the reason, like, the idea of being in a band came in like my head when I was like 14. It's because we did a camp here, and it was run by your man from Frankenstein Bolts, that band.
I'm not sure.
I forget his name. Yeah.
It was like a song school they ran.
Yeah. And
he's gonna be so mad we didn't remember his name.
We'll edit it.
like
If you get the name, we'll put in the name after.
his band's name is Frankenstein Bolts. He'll be happy with that.
Cool.
And so you formed it during that, like, did you?
Kinda. It was a bit after that we met each other, and we were like, oh, there's other people our age. What?
Yeah, Kate and James were in that, and then I think Kate knew me, and
we're going to get to a big elephant in the room now in about 3 seconds.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
because this is your first time on the podcast, Callum.
For anyone out there who's wondering why Adam looks a bit different, it's not actually Adam. Here, you tell them all about it, Callum.
So I'm Callum, new. Well, I'm not really that new anymore.
Yeah, you've been in a while.
Yeah,
now.
but I'm still the new.
He's on a trial period. Don't listen.
The trial period is long over. Yeah, lads, it's kind of easy for me. I didn't really have to do any of the hard work.
Yeah.
They don't really.
You just
just appeared.
just kind
They
of
just asked me and
fell in with what we were doing.
yeah.
So it was a coordinated thing. It was like you were nurtured into an act. You were like attended a school or a kind of a pilot thing, songwriting thing here in the Source, in an arts centre. You attended that as youngsters. Then you've become a group.
It was a few years after. We were kind of that just made us realise like there's other people who want to do it.
It was a seed that took a long time to germinate.
Like,
you
didn't I could be wrong, but you didn't like actually have a name until the No Covers gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we just kind of were playing songs together. Then James left for a while. He wasn't really taking off.
I left for 12 hours.
What?
No, it was
left for like 2 months.
Because all the greatest rock stars are divas. So I felt like I'd throw a bit of a straw.
And then
you're all hacks. I'm out of here.
The three of us played a bit of a gig, and then I think he realised he wanted to come back.
Yeah. I saw what they were missing, so I was like, no, that's a joke. It looks really fun. I was like, if I do this, people might think I'm cool.
Yeah, that's a good play.
We're still working on the people finding me cool thing, but we'll get there someday.
Yeah, it was really impressive. We were doing a gig here in No Covers, and the concept was we would get bands who wouldn't do covers from town, and Rendon had told us about Ye, that Ye had just formed, and he was like, I'm not sure their name, and like I was like, okay, I'll find out their name. I was emailing one of you, can't remember who, but we were booking Ye to play, and you were booked, and you had made originals already, but you didn't even have the name yet. And I was like, I can't remember, I was emailing Adam, I feel like, and then like a few days before I was like, oh lads, we're gonna need a name for, or like a couple of weeks before, we're gonna need a name for the poster, and you were like, Asher Mill Road or something. Like, what made you think, where did the name come from?
I think we were just a bit desperate. You know, it was a quick decision, like.
Okay.
I'll just make us look really, really bad, and I'll tell you where the name actually came from.
No, it's not bad.
It's not
a
bad.
good thing. We were looking up to people.
Yeah. Like we were like, oh shit, feck.
Nice.
Oh feck.
Good job.
What are the media trained man? What other bands do we know? We're like Seskin Lane. And we're like,
okay.
Sure, I live in the Mill Road. And we just stole her name basically. But we didn't steal her name. We stole the idea for her name.
It's cool though. It's kind of nearly like soccer clubs just naming their club. When they first started, it was all like an industry thing. So like maybe in Thurles it'd be every band just names after where they live.
I would like to get that ball rolling.
Fun. They seem fun, but they're actually, they're limited. Like you can't beat a family name or name of a road or an area
name,
and just stick to it.
Your air code.
And do your thing under that banner. Like, you don't need a gimmick.
I actually think an air code would be a class gimmick. I know you said you don't need a gimmick, but I can imagine, like, I don't want to say my air code, obviously.
Yeah. Or your PPS number, whatever you want to call it.
4178. I'm only messing. But yeah, no, there's actually a nice ring to my air code. I think it would name a band.
Okay, now you're making it. Everyone wants to know your air code now. Like, why? We'll send you nice things. That's all.
It's a nice package.
Nice things, yeah. Envelopes of anthrax.
But I think as well, like I remember, like when naming an event, I think people get caught up too much with naming things, like that the name has to be perfect. But I think the goal is like to make the name good, like, and you're doing a good job at that, like, a very good job.
Picking the name though is kind of like. I remember it being really daunting at the time. Like everybody had these ideas, and
it was girls against boys.
Yeah, and then we had like I'd say about 10 suggestions, and then we were like, okay, how do other people come up with their name? Because everybody else's name seems good, and then that's where we went to Seskin Lane.
Yeah, well, like I'd say like it was the same thing though. Like at first they just thought. I don't think that anyone thinks about it too much. I feel like. It's like he thought the name was good, like because the band were good. Do you know? It's like by association.
It's like somebody else has done that before, like called it after a road, so it must be okay. And
yeah.
They certainly proved it successful or good.
Or like a lot of bands, to be fair, as well, they just like take like lyrics from like songs or something. Like I think like even Radiohead, like I think they got their name from a Talking Heads song and mentioned something about Radiohead in one of the lyrics. So like loads of people do just get them from like random place names and random lyrics and
definitely looking back, like I think the name is actually not important at all.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like anything. Like if you put a name on something, it's more to do with the product than the name of the product. If that makes sense. Again, we are the product. Please buy us.
What's where are you at the moment? Like, are you writing an album? What's your crack? What's your future plans? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? I hate that. Don't answer that question.
I want to rule this town with an iron fist. That's where I want to be in 5 years. And I don't mean in a musical capacity.
Yeah.
I mean pure head man of a fashion small town.
Paint over that new mural. Like, get rid of that art.
Iron,
Get rid of the art, the new square. God.
I don't know, Go everywhere in military dress and.
Yeah. It's been done before.
It can happen again. With a small donation from all the Croig listeners, we can make that dream come true.
No, Croig have no part in James's mission or objectives. We are completely.
I'm the face of the movement.
But what are you working on at the moment?
Yeah, what's the main?
I think just the current plan is to try to get more music on Spotify, newer music.
Okay.
It's been a fair while, since.
We're recording a single soon, and then that's going to turn into an album, hopefully by next summer.
Oh, cool.
And that's kind of our plan.
Why is
right
that? I've
now.
never like. So you're recording a single, and you plan on building an like. Is that like because you created a single and now you don't want to you have to build something around it? Like, is that?
I think it's just like, well, my limited understanding of it is that like you have your single, and then while you're plugging the single, you're recording the album.
You have to
it's like to fill the gap.
Yeah.
It's so you don't disappear for 8 months and everyone forgets who you are.
We also want to promote who we are now, because obviously what's on Spotify, Adam's in it,
not a
and
great
we're like
reflection.
we're very young.
Yeah, it was like I think we did it in January of 2020, so the sound is a bit different now, and like just want to get something up soon. And we've written a couple of new songs that we are proud of and want to get
And
up
are they
there.
different, or how do they feel by comparison to the previous stuff?
Well, I'd say like we're still the same people writing the songs, so that this.
Well,
Well,
not
we're
really,
older, yeah.
yeah.
but I feel like
And like
James
well,
is. I meant
not
Different
the
people
same
write the
person.
songs, yeah.
you're
the
still
songs,
lovely, like.
the songs at
That was
their
a correct
core
answer.
are probably like similar, but just the way we're arranging things now is
Like,
slightly different.
Yeah,
Better
we've all
musicians.
we've all gotten a lot better as well.
Do you find I feel like, like a soccer club, like there's like nearly like our sports, like team sports, there's like a hive mentality nearly, like, and a new player, like they subconsciously have to spend a bit of time like getting into understanding how the team work, and they don't really think about it. Do you find over time that you just know how each other work, that you're nearly like sort of thinking from the perspective as Mill Road as a whole? Is that question bizarre? Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying, and I think never.
Okay.
And I think that's what makes people work really well creatively together.
Oh, okay.
Rather than us, like, if we all thought the same thing, just to say I write a song and bring it to the band. If we all thought the exact same, the song will never change.
Yeah.
But because we all, like, we're really different people, the four of us. I know we look all the very same, but we are very different underneath all that great looks and good charm. But yeah, like the fact that we're so different, it makes being creative and making music together a lot more interesting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like being in a band isn't about all having the same interests and same tastes and like writing the same
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
It's about like all of you taking your own bit, putting it together, and then you have your sound.
Exactly.
It's like the whole thing as well. Like a band usually doesn't like wake up in the morning and say, I'm this genre. Like bands, like some people will try to do that, but like it's not until you actually write music, record music, like release it, that then someone puts the genre on you and goes, you're this, and you're like, oh, okay, fair enough. Because like you can start off trying to be a punk band, and by the time you're finished recording an album, you could be something completely.
Yeah.
Like even now, like people, like if I met someone and I was just chatting, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in a band. They're like, oh, what kind of stuff do you play? Like I don't know how to answer
Can't
that.
answer
like,
it, yeah.
like everyone bar you
Can't
tells
tell
you what
you.
you play. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could never say to them, oh, we're this genre, we sound like this. So it's like exactly what you're saying. You don't wake up and decide, oh, we're going to make a punk album.
Yeah.
You go, we're going to make an album, and then at the far side, you give it to someone else, say, listen to that, and then they say, oh, that's bossa nova.
Yeah, 'cause you never know where it's going to go. Like,
No, you don't.
like-
You don't.
And
That's the really exciting part about making music, I think.
And that is
personally.
the great thing about working
Yeah.
with people who aren't exactly always on the same page. Because then you're like bouncing the ideas and you're evolving as a musician yourself. Like so, like even like, you know, like you said, if you had all the same ideas, the song would never change. So it's like you'd find it really hard to get better at like your individual instrument. Whereas like someone turns up and is like, oh, this song, and then someone comes up with like a chord progression you'd never play, or a drum beat you'd never play, or like some weird lyrics that you'd never think of. Like you end up with something completely different, and then you
Exactly,
get new
yeah,
perspectives going forward. Like.
Yeah, it's mad. Like oh yeah, just a quick reminder as well. Again, you don't have to worry about. You won't be on cameras if you go to the bar. You can buy a drink and have a nice time or water. But yeah, but that is the mad thing about music, or like, cause people, it's up to them to define you in their heads. Like I always find it interesting in music, and like even if you like, you know, you ever see like you stare at someone and someone says, that person looks like this person. They say, no, I don't see it. That doesn't really make sense because you're both looking at the same person. Technically, you should be able to see the exact same thing. But I find it really interesting we don't. And it's the same with music. Like, whatever, like I could say you sound like this genre, and Stevie could say it, and John, and we could have 3 completely different genres.
Yeah,
that's mad.
It's
like.
Purely, it's so subjective, like.
Yeah.
And it's mad, like, when you're like trying to think about, is there a way I can actually make money off this? Just based on what you've said there, that like, John could say, right, lads, you're the best band I've ever heard. Don't ever stop. You're going to go really far. And then you could sit there and think inside in your own head.
Get rid of James and you'll do it.
Yeah, these guys need to go join the circus, like, do you know what I mean? And so it's mad on that front. Like, it is so subjective, and it's really hard to get straight answers out of people too.
Yeah.
Like if you go and absolutely nosedive at a gig or whatever, you just make an absolute mess of it. Like nobody's going to tell you,
No.
James, that was absolutely awful. Just leave it off. People are always going to be like, oh, that was really good, whether or not they mean it. And it's really frustrating trying to get feedback to like
A measure of
exactly get a measure or know what do we need to fix. You know.
Yeah. Do you know what I think as well? Were you going to talk there, sir?
I was just going to say, like, that same thing obviously comes into, like, your songwriting as well. Like, if you bring a song to, like, a band, you want people, like, if it's a shit song, you want people to say, like, look, I'm not feeling this. And if it can be fixed, give suggestions. But if it just really does not fit, you want people to say that. You don't want to turn up and they're like, yeah, that's grand. And then there's that whole awkwardness of, like, oh, I don't like it. But then you're just, like, creating this weird vibe in the band where you should just be able to, like, bounce the ideas and go, no, we'll try something else.
Yeah, that's like one of the strangest ones. That like that's strange. No, strange is the wrong word. But like in the fact that you have a relationship with 3 people where you're friends, but you're also making music together in like some semi-professional sense.
You're kind of critiquing each other all the time.
Yeah, and it's really hard.
Trimming each other back, like.
If we were all mentally healthy and our chakras were aligned, it'd be great because I could say, no, that song's not great, and we'd still be friends. But we're not, because people's base level seems to be being absolutely mental and just a bit nuts, like, which is great. Makes for great music, makes for great art. But interpersonal relationships, not so much. So when you go away and write a song on your own, and you're thinking, Jesus, this is really good, I'm after doing something here. But then already, before you bring it to anyone, you're thinking, oh, what do the lads think?
Yeah.
And it's like...
You're already tarnishing your thing.
Exactly, exactly. But no, it does, it's still... I think it's good in a sense, because it makes you refine your work a lot. It makes you really sit down and look at it from another lens, if you will. Like, you know, you're critiquing yourself as hard as you can, which in the long run, I don't know. I think it's good, or else I'll have a nervous breakdown with 23 and shave my head. Do a bit of a Britney Spears in it, but who knows?
I would suit you.
I actually
not the shaved head, the breakdown.
I just would say shaved head wouldn't suit me. I'd look like a peanut because I have a soft feminine jawline. I love it, don't get me wrong, but if I was bald as well, it's not working. It ain't gonna happen for me.
You think you'd look like a peanut because you've a soft feminine jawline? Like,
yeah,
that makes like peanuts do not.
Not the women look like peanuts.
What's the bottom of a peanut look like?
You know, like a peanut shell, like how round it is, and then it tapers in.
I don't think you're thinking of the right nut, peanut.
I'm definitely thinking of the right nut, the peanut. I mean the casing of a peanut, not the actual peanut nut itself.
Yeah, the peanut itself has a kind of a point at the bottom. Tapers off to a little
That's what I mean. I mean...
the casing is like a figure 8 shape.
Yeah.
Well, the top of the figure 8 is my head, the middle is my neck, and the bottom is my body.
Take away the microphone.
Huh?
Take away the microphone there for a second. Okay.
He sees it now.
He sees it. John sees it.
Just the microphone is in the way.
Hickey's advertised this new poster I saw at the flyer on social media. Ye Olde Pub, and it was like all the local acts.
Oh yeah,
This Saturday,
yeah.
this Saturday.
Yeah.
It's actually Thursday, John.
Oh yeah.
You're
this Thursday.
Thursday.
Do it again. This Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday.
Yeah. Once a week.
Giving lunatics a platform to spread misinformation. Yeah, John. Yeah, they do put microchips in the vaccines, John. You're dead right, man. You're right, man. A1. The New World Order is coming.
I told you, he's like. We've had him on like 6 episodes, and it's always dangerous.
It was 2 episodes. These lads are pathological liars.
You've been on more than 2.
3 if you count St. Patrick's Day special.
Okay. Well, you always should come on more. Come on next time.
Well, if I was invited, I'd come on
you
more.
You are invited. We miss you.
I don't think I am.
You're always working.
Come back now. Sorry. When does that start? or when does that start or end?
When does what start or end?
This kind of new...
Thumping Thursdays.
Thumping Thursdays.
Yeah.
I actually don't know when it starts.
It starts this week, does it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And it's 6 weeks
months.
long. It goes into November the 17th or something around that time, or 11th. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a new departure, isn't it? That's a new...
Yeah, it's a really
new venture for the town.
Yeah.
Is it Melvin doing that as well? I've seen him share.
I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, it's really
I
cool.
think it might be Ollie just doing it himself.
Oh, wow. Gee.
It's a cool guy, whoever it is.
And that's going to be all out in the back of Hickey's. The same scale, like, no.
I
Smaller
doubt.
scale.
I don't think so.
Thursday. It's kind of scaring
just
me that
indoor,
it
I
is
think.
Thursday.
I think it's
Yeah.
just students.
What does Thursday?
It's like a student thing.
When Thursdays, is that students?
There's a lot more students here.
A rake of student teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Teachers,
Yeah.
Teachers. Oh, yeah. That's good, yeah.
It's actually, it's making me really scared for when I possibly have children in the future and I send them to school, that like I know what student teachers get up to when they're learning how to be teachers. And like these people aren't fit to be around children, let alone teach them anything. They're animals, John. They're no, because like when you think of animals, you think of like some lad up in Barnan in an old, I don't know, a 15-acre farm welding, having tins of Fosters for breakfast.
Right.
No, student teachers, John.
You don't think it's
they're not right, man.
Assignments and
huh? I don't know. I've never seen anyone doing assignments. I've seen him do a lot of mad stuff now, but never an assignment.
Their own personal assignments.
Yeah,
They
exactly,
sound- yeah.
exactly. From a horribly messed up agenda.
No, I read about that, like that the NYC had expanded, like they were, what were they? They were like 500 and they were going to be, no, they were up 30%, I think.
Oh wow.
30% more.
For this year, is it?
I think so, yeah. I thought this was brilliant.
That's mad, actually.
That's what Thumping Thursdays is about.
Letting the students off. They let them all off the leash.
Yeah.
They go crazy.
What date are you on the Thumping Thursdays?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say the 28th.
That's not right.
It's not to like.
I did say it was a wild guess.
I actually am not sure.
I think it's November.
November,
this.
the 3rd, I think.
Yeah.
Somewhere around the start of November, anyway.
6 weeks from this Thursday.
Okay.
If you can figure out what that is.
Oh yeah.
We'll put up the poster and the link. We'll link it in the description below or something. We'll make sure you get the right information. And what do ye plan on like? Have you ever had the discussion about like, hey, we're all passionate and we like what we're doing, we're good at what we're doing. Like, have you ever had the discussion about like, can we make a career out of this? Like, have you talked about that together? Or?
About a week ago.
No way. For the first time, like, or would you kind of?
It's first serious, yeah.
Yeah,
like, what
not
do
for
I
the
want?
first time, but we just kind of when we were deciding to record music, like
In a more realistic way. 'Cause we're like,
yeah. If you're gonna record it, I think we need to either decide if it's just a kind of friends making music or if we're gonna take it seriously.
Like, will you be here at this time? And it's not like, oh, I was out like last night. Like James might say probably.
Yeah.
I can't come over today.
Smear campaign. This is slander.
It's not though.
No, it's very true. Yeah, it's not.
At your age, like, do you need to like go to Hamburg? You know, do you need to just like leave and be gone to Hamburg? Like, you know, be gone for a year and then come back 2 years
But, like,
later.
if we could
they-
do that as
they
a band.
Emerge.
Well, I think it's kind of changed as well. Like even like you saying releasing a single, like I think that's kind of the way the music industry's gone. It's like, you know, it's like it is about releasing singles and having them on Spotify.
Yeah.
Then, because like if you do gigs, like it's like before people would buy a CD or something, but now it's gone the way of like.
Oh,
people
look
are
us
like,
up on Spotify.
Are you on Spotify? And if you're not on Spotify, you're at a loss. And like people aren't looking at albums as much, so like you need the singles out there as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely don't think people, well, young people anyway, still will sit down and listen to an album in full. Like,
Well, there's
definitely.
very few that would now.
Yeah.
People don't have the attention span anymore. TikTok is just.
They're all on the phones, man.
Yeah.
They're all
I
on
don't
the
even know
phones.
if they listen to a
Back in
whole
my day,
song.
we used to bring a sort of turf to school.
It's like
Now they're all on the
15
phones.
second clips.
But they're all on the phones. Tipping and tapping and watching old videos and
Can I-
they're, you know.
Can I ask you a question though? Because I noticed like, gee, is that true? Like, because I don't know. Like from my perspective, I'm yet to see a younger person, even someone who's 17, and go, they're significantly on the phone more than a person who's 30 or something.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's definitely true. My
Like-
sister is, what, she's 17 or 18? Yeah, she just turned 18, and like,
Okay.
I just think the attention spans have gone.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
agree with that.
You see a gap. You see a gap between you and her.
Yeah, well, not that big of a gap. Like, I'm not.
So you think you're better than your sister?
No, I'm not.
I just think
I
it
still
depends
would
on the
be on my
person.
phone a good bit, but there is a bit of a gap, and then the gap just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like,
Keeps getting
Sure, when
gappier.
we were like 5, we didn't have tablets, and now every 5-year-old
Yeah.
has
That is
it.
going to
That's
be a
kinda
big one now.
crazy.
The future, not the future, but like right now, the
No.
present, like the present day toddler is like biologically attached to iPads, and
Yeah.
it's going to make absolute. Do you ever see? This is just a quick little what's a thing you can visualize to understand how these toddlers' brains are going to end up. Do you ever go to a restaurant and you see like maybe there's a nice family to your left, and they might have a baby, and they say to the waitress, "Oh, can I just get a baby bowl?" And they bring out a baby bowl, and it's just like mashed buds and gravy and veg, but all like mixed together, and it's real smooth. That's what these children's brains are going to be like, because they live on the tablets.
Mashed buns and gravy.
Mashed buns and gravy. No, like it's funny, but I don't know what kind of breed of zombies we're going to have walking around. Like
That's mad.
they just zone out.
It's hard to know. I heard someone. I don't know. Was it some?
I'd have like a different view of it. Like I'm very kind of pro technology because like I see like kids would be like completely glued to like tablets and stuff. But then you have like people who'd be like kids who are like 7 or 8 years old and they're like they end up learning like the basics of like coding and stuff, and then they get to a point where it's like
but they haven't touched grass like
they should be out. They should be out throwing stones at cars.
But
Okay,
it is
not
kinda
inside
cool,
on tablets.
It is kind of cool the way their brains are actually
different,
developing. Like they're really good at using technology straight away.
And then there's also a thing then as well, like like for a lot of people, like socializing can be online as well. As in, like some people will be like, oh, I don't know, my kid's always on the PlayStation, like playing whatever, like. But like when they're on that, they're on TeamSpeak. They're talking to their friends. They're like, or whatever they call. I don't even call it TeamSpeak.
I can't explain how much I disagree with that.
Really?
Like, have you ever? No, but like really, like speaking to someone even on the phone, whereas sitting across from them and looking at their face. Like I think, like if you go down that route of socializing online, people won't be. Have you ever been in a kind of an awkward situation and somebody just doesn't know what to say, or they say the completely wrong thing?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen because like as people, like, and it's a thing. This is a fact. I'm not making this up. But you like, it's wired into your brain to understand like facial. What do you call it?
Yeah,
like
just
facial
face,
cues.
yeah.
Social and facial cues, and like if like a majority of your socializing is done just like through an online medium, I think like you're at a big disadvantage going forward. Like even just like we'll say going for job interviews and stuff like that. Like so many like little things happen in people's faces that your brain understands without you even knowing.
Subconsciously, yeah.
I don't know, that was a bit. I was reaching a bit there.
No, I definitely agree. I think it's one of those two things to be true at the same time, because I was always very much like on the perspective of like phones. I didn't get a smartphone. I was actually no covers gig because I had to like do things. Apparently, I needed a smartphone to do that. Like, and so that was only a couple of years ago. I was always someone that was like, oh, this is going to wreck everything, ruin everything. But then I did notice like kind of what Stevie's saying. So I definitely agree. I would say the majority is like that. But there is a large amount of people who I grew up with, and when we didn't have phones to communicate, who felt isolated from the world, and they were never going to come outside anyway. So it's not brains. It's not that the phones made their brains like too socially awkward. They just were socially awkward. Yeah. And then Xbox came around, and they had like someone to talk to. Okay. And those people never like could have the confidence to leave the house. And I think about those people now. I still think that they're born. I think that there is a lot of the phones are making more people socially anxious and stuff. But I do think there are people who are socially anxious because of their household or because for other things, and that to get out of that social anxiousness, phones are helpful. So
I think I could be biased as well, because like growing up, like I talked to people online the whole time. Like, that's kind of where I learned a lot of my social skills, like just talking to random people around the world. Like, I grew up in a small village, like it's like it was either like talk to people online or hang out with people who were like 5 years younger than me, like So it's like I think if you grow up in a town and you have all those social things around you, and you have youth clubs and you have things like that, then that's probably going to be a more positive experience. But I think it's still great for people who don't have those opportunities. Like, so it's like I think it is a case by case basis. Like some people, their brain will turn to mush and they'll be like the most like not like antisocial, like not able to do anything. But then other people will actually kind of be able to reap the benefits from it and apply it to
there is specific strands of conversation going on there, like
people
can just go zone into that maybe they couldn't in a general sense.
Yeah,
and I would have to sit at the bar like to meet a person to say the specific stuff that like people are, you know what I mean, threads and different things, boards and Reddits and stuff. And there's levels of communication going on in there that's like very specific,
Yeah, and it's like people have an opportunity to speak in ways they mightn't get to, like in person or something. I do think at the moment, if it was to continue exactly what's happening now, it would head to be more of a negative thing than a positive thing. I think if you brought in awareness into schools and stuff, like as in, there should be a class just on technology and finding out what it is to you. Because for me, if I use too much of it, it sends me out of, like I can't think properly and stuff. But,
I think that like it can't be that huge of a problem. Like it's because when we were younger, I don't know what, I suppose like Nintendo's, something always comes in when people are young, and like we ended up fine, I think, you know. And the people before us, like getting the first computers and stuff, and everybody older kind of thought that's terrible, like people are going to be stupid.
And I'm sure people thought the same about the telly, like before then.
Yeah, and
exactly.
Like I remember seeing a picture one day, and it was like a side by side picture, and it was like there was a picture of like people at a train station, and they're all on their phones, and someone was like, "Oh, like people don't communicate anymore." Then someone had a picture from like 40 years ago, a load of people sitting at a train station, all with newspapers, same crack. Like if people don't want to talk, they'll find an excuse. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's definitely just change, and people probably think, "Oh God, this is," but it's not going to be the end of the world. Like it's.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think there can be if there can be more even positives than negatives in the end with it. Like the whole connection thing, like, or the fact that people who can't talk, like, to, you know, if they're deaf and they need to do sign language, like they can now communicate for their family for the first time. People can communicate to people in other countries. Like there's so many.
The potential for change.
Yeah, the potential for change.
The spark can now fucking go alight very quickly.
Yeah,
you know.
I think if there was a potential for world peace, it actually couldn't happen without the internet. But then the other thing is the internet's also can be used to do the opposite. So it's a weird thing. It's just, I think everything sort of balances out.
I just keep thinking of like Bob Burnham's song "Welcome to the Internet" because it really captures the whole like good side, bad side thing. Like.
Yeah. So the internet, James, would you turn it if you had the power to turn it off now? Would you?
He'd turn it off.
He would just because we said it's
I'd
nice.
plug it out and set on fire.
Yeah.
I think the internet is almost entirely evil.
The plug. Actually.
We used to be afraid of ghosts. Now we're afraid of the internet and ghosts all at the one time. People as a collective only have enough room in your brain for one real fear. Don't have enough for two. That's why the country's on its knees. That's why you can't burn turf anymore. It all goes back to the internet. I would switch it off. Just gone. Go out and throw stones at cars or talk to your friends. One or the other.
Fair enough.
Or throw stones at your friends.
That's just lousy.
Sorry, I'm corrupted by the internet.
Yeah, you corrupted my beautiful thought there. My dream for the future, an internetless world. We all just hang out making daisy chains, and then you wrecked it by saying throw stones at your friends. I don't know, Stevie, man. I don't know.
I don't even know how we got into that part of the conversation, because I wanted, just before we finish up, I wanted to know, like, from the part I was asking about, like, the conversation you had around, like, the future of it. I just had no idea how we got to there from that question, but like, how do you have a goal, like an end goal that you said you're not an end goal, something to reach where you can tick it off when you get there?
Make loads of cheddar.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Don't listen to James.
I'm not the spokesperson for this band.
I think.
I don't know, what do we think, gang?
It's probably hard to set a goal because for the kind of music thing, because the first thing your brain would go to is like picking a person or a band and being like, right, I want to be at that level, but that's kind of. You can't think, right, I want to be the Beatles, like, do you know.
Yeah. But our goal is to try as hard as we can, because in a year's time, if we're like, oh, we tried.
Yeah, that's cool.
Our goal fulfilled, like, whether, because you can't really predict where you're going to be or what you're going to do.
And it's not like in a year's time we want to have the world taken over. It's just like, I do, and like I said before, rule it with an iron fist.
Yeah.
Or fists even.
Would you look at it more kind of like, just say like kind of milestones? So it's like, milestone would be like,
exactly,
record the album, or like, you know, maybe like eventually like get a gig in Whelan's.
That's the thing.
Like, you know, and kind of
if there's progress in a year, we're happy. It's not, we're not looking for the main stage of Glastonbury. You know what I mean? But anything, just progress, and it means that with work, it will work. Yeah. Do you know that kind of way?
Would you like to make a living off it? Did you like?
Personally,
I
100%.
Yeah.
If we're not going to say yes to that question, then.
I think anyone would like to.
It's true, but I ask every band, because a lot of, I think it's like in an Irish culture thing, and especially in the musicians or anything creative, and that's not suffering, digging the bog, we feel a bit guilty for.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with digging the bog now.
There's not. Well,
good wholesome misery.
I think people, especially with creativity and stuff, it's harder here than it is in America to imagine. Like, you nearly feel funny. Like, do you even feel a bit funny when you take money for playing a gig?
The whole time. It's so hard, because like,
no, it's not so hard. There's loads of things that are hard. That's not hard. That's me whining. No.
I think I know.
Say what you're gonna. Yeah.
I think I know what you were saying there as well. Though, the whole thing of like in Ireland, like, and it's like it's just you do kind of feel guilty with being a musician, but part of that is like the reaction of just like you get people being like, oh, so you're still at the music. Yeah. Oh, that's a great hobby to have.
Uncle Ned at a christening.
You could literally banging your head off.
You could literally be saying, you could be like, oh yeah, like someone could release an album and has thousands of fucking.
You're still at the music,
and people are like, oh Jesus,
oh good man.
Isn't it great to have a hobby? Like, sure.
Yeah.
And would you get paid for that now?
Yeah.
Do you know that
what would you do with that? Good to teaching, is it? Teaching.
Yeah, sure.
What's you just see? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a strange one because it's like you can't get any better if you don't have any self-belief. But like the human condition, and especially the Irish condition, is to just deny. I have no talent. I'm just normal. Leave me be. Like that's how everyone tries to think. It's this kind of bowing and scraping thing the whole time. But you have to like find the happy medium, I think, where it's like it's not arrogance. You're not like, oh, we're the best band ever. But we're able to take a step back and like in a healthy frame be like, no, we're quite good. Not talking about ourselves now, I'm just saying we are quite good, but we've a lot to do.
You just did
that
it
makes
right
sense.
there.
It's called irony.
No, you're right though, because the truth is, I see big bands interviews saying, oh, they don't really like their own music, they're just doing it. That's not true. Like, honest, deep down, subconscious, some level, you would not be putting your music out there if you did not think it was good. You just wouldn't. Nobody would. So, like, it's good to be honest, and I think now it's changing. Like, bands are like, yeah, no, we deserve money. Like, I'm seeing that more even. Like, people, should be asking for money when they're playing gigs and...
But, like, me personally, that's the funny part. Like, if I heard a band talking like that, like, no, we're actually really good. Like, we deserve to be here. Like, I'd just stop listening straight away. I'd lose all interest. Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying about the medium. Like, you still have to be likable, but you have to have. It's like a quiet self-belief thing, I think.
Yeah.
That could be all nonsense. I could be wrong. I don't know.
You're not wrong, James. You're perfect.
I'm never wrong. Never wrong.
You're perfect.
Am I perfect?
You're perfect.
If you think of a perfect person, would you think of me?
100%.
This is the podcast. This is the part of the podcast where I ask you questions, Kieran.
This is actually the end of the podcast.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. We're gonna finish up now. Thanks for coming. And how did you find it? John was very nervous.
Birds in the source.
See, if I was ruling the town, this wouldn't be happening. The Iron Fist would be coming crashing down.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Culture night. I was fascinated with that display inside. The light.
Yeah, the lads, Team Pill doing the light show is cool. Were you in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
It was very cool.
Thanks a million for coming on, and thanks,
Kieran. Thanks so much for having us.
For being the hope of Turles. If Turles isn't good in 10 years, blame them. They're the hope.
Sorry.
Our hopes and dreams rest on these people.
My back hurts from all this weight.
All right, thanks a million. See you. Bye.
Thanks.
Good night and God bless.